What if I told you that a 19-year-old could take their startup public on the Toronto Stock Exchange in under 10 years? The probability is low, but if you have a mentor that has taken a company public before, it may be possible because Canada's 2025 regulatory changes just made it real. The new CSA, also known as the Canadian Securities Administrators, measures to cut regulatory burden and speed up the process. But there's a catch most people miss. While the disclosure requirements got shorter, they didn't get easier. You now need only 2 years of audited financials instead of 3, but the legal obligation for full, true, and plain disclosure of all material facts remains your statutory liability defense. Miss one material fact and you're facing serious legal trouble. The regulatory relief created speed, not shortcuts. I am Kane. I don't have a public traded company yet, but I own several properties throughout Ontario. Be sure to watch my full bio video to learn more about me. Feel free to let me know if there are any inaccuracies in this video. Don't forget to read the references below to see where I pulled this information from. Without further ado, here's how entrepreneurs are navigating this new landscape. The Canadian Securities Administrators made a major move on April 17, 2025. They released coordinated blanket orders that cut regulatory burden and speed up the IPO process. IPO also stands for Initial Public Offering. These new rules target the biggest pain points that kept small companies away from public markets. The CSA wanted to make Canada more competitive for both companies and investors during uncertain global market conditions. The blanket orders create a fast-track system for new companies. You can now raise up to the lesser of $100 million, or 20% of your market capitalization, within your first 12 months as a public company, provided you stay compliant with continuous disclosure requirements. The old system forced companies to wait months between funding rounds. These reinvestment limits blocked follow-up financing when companies needed cash most. The new rules remove those barriers completely. Before April 2025, a small company faced an 18-month timeline to go public. The regulatory complexity and associated costs created major barriers for smaller businesses. Most entrepreneurs looked at those requirements and gave up. The math just didn't work for companies without deep pockets. The new system cuts that timeline to 6 months for prepared companies. The CSA designed these measures to reduce regulatory complexity and improve clarity, making the process faster and more cost-effective. Companies can now use standard term sheets and marketing materials containing specific pricing information without filing an amended preliminary prospectus first, as long as they issue a news release with this information. This avoids repeated, expensive regulatory filings during the waiting period. The CSA designed these measures to reduce regulatory friction across the board. They want Canadian markets to compete with New York and London for startup listings. The blanket orders signal that regulators understand the old system was too slow and expensive for modern businesses. But here's what trips up most founders. The CSA made the process faster, not easier. Most disclosure requirements stayed the same, though with one key change. You now need only 2 years of audited financial statements instead of 3, thanks to the new exemption for eligible issuers from providing the third most recently completed financial year. You still need to file a detailed prospectus that covers every material risk in your business. Miss one important and you face serious legal consequences. The audited financials requirement creates a major hurdle for entrepreneurs. Most founders bootstrap their first few years with basic bookkeeping. They track revenue and expenses in spreadsheets or simple accounting software. When IPO time comes, they discover their financial records don't meet audit standards. You can't fake 2 years of professional financial statements in a few months. Going public means selling shares of your company to regular people. These shares trade on stock exchanges like the Toronto Stock Exchange or NASDAQ. Anyone with a brokerage account can buy your stock and become a partial owner of your business. This opens up massive funding opportunities that private companies can't access. Public companies can raise money by issuing new shares whenever they need capital. Private companies have to find specific investors and negotiate each funding round individually. Public markets give you access to pension funds, mutual funds, and millions of individual investors. The total pool of available money grows from thousands to billions of dollars. The regulatory changes also bring new reporting requirements once you go public. You file quarterly financial reports that get scrutinized by analysts and investors. Your business operations become exposed to competitors and the media. Every major decision gets examined by shareholders who can vote against your proposals. The 2025 measures create a narrow window for prepared companies to move fast. If you have clean financial records and proper corporate structure, you can take advantage of the streamlined process. Companies with messy bookkeeping or informal business structures still face the same old problems. The speed improvements only help if you do the preparation work correctly. The CSA stated their goal is to create a more responsive regulatory regime that benefits issuers and investors. They want Canada to remain competitive for startup listings as global markets become more uncertain. These blanket orders represent the first major step in a broader initiative to promote Canadian capital markets. More changes are coming as regulators adapt to support modern capital formation needs. But having the right regulatory environment is only half the battle. The real question becomes whether your business is even structured in a way that makes public listing possible. Most businesses start simple, but stock exchanges demand complexity. Your lemonade stand can make money, but it can't sell shares to the public. Stock exchanges only list corporations that meet specific legal requirements. Most entrepreneurs start with sole proprietorships because the setup costs nothing and the paperwork stays simple. You register your business name, get a tax number, and start selling. All profits go directly to you, and you make every decision without asking anyone else. The problem hits when you want outside investment. A sole proprietorship means you are the business. Investors can't buy shares because no shares exist. They can only lend you money or become full partners. Partnership agreements get complicated fast when money and control issues arise. You also face unlimited personal liability for every business debt. If your company owes $50,000 and goes bankrupt, creditors can take your car, your house, and your personal savings to pay those debts. Corporations solve these problems by creating a separate legal entity. The corporation owns the business assets and owes the business debts. You own shares in the corporation, but your personal assets stay protected from business liabilities. If the corporation goes bankrupt, you lose your investment in the shares, but creditors can't touch your personal property. This limited liability protection makes corporations the only structure that works for public companies. Corporations issue shares to raise money and distribute ownership. Each share represents a small piece of the company. When you buy 100 shares of Apple, you own 100 tiny pieces of that business. Public corporations can have millions of shares owned by thousands of different people. The shares trade on stock exchanges where buyers and sellers meet to make deals. Private corporations work the same way, but their shares don't trade publicly. Smart founders create multiple share classes from day one, even when they own 100% of the company. Common shares typically carry voting rights and participate in company profits through dividends. Preferred shares might get paid dividends first or receive special treatment if the company gets sold. Class A shares could have 10 votes per share, while Class B shares get only 1 vote. These different structures give you flexibility when investors want different types of deals. You need proper board governance before most exchanges will list your company. The Toronto Stock Exchange requires at least 3 directors, with a majority being independent. Independent directors can't be employees, major shareholder, or have business relationships with the company. They provide oversight and make sure management acts in the best interests of all shareholders, not just the founders. The audit committee becomes mandatory once you go public on most major exchanges. This committee must be composed of at least 3 directors who must all be independent and financially literate. These directors can't have financial ties to your company. They hire and oversee the external auditors who review your financial statement. The audit committee also reviews internal controls and investigates any accounting problems. These directors face legal liability if they don't do their jobs properly. Public companies also need compensation committees and nominating committees. The compensation committee sets executive salaries and decides on stock option plans. The nominating committee finds qualified candidates for board positions. Guidelines encourage these committees to be composed entirely of independent directors who can make decisions without conflicts of interest. Setting up this corporate structure early costs more than a sole proprietorship, but saves massive headaches later. Incorporation fees typically run around $500 to $2,500 depending on your province. You need annual filings, board meetings, and more complex tax returns. These costs seem high when you're just starting out and revenues are small. The payoff comes when investors start investing. Venture capitalists and investment banks only work with properly structured corporations. If you built your business as a sole proprietorship, you'll need significant legal work to convert everything to corporate form. This restructuring can take months and create potential tax consequences when transferring assets from your personal name to the corporation. Getting the structure right from the start means your corporate records grow with your business. Every board resolution, every share issuance, and every major decision gets documented properly. When underwriters and lawyers review your company for an IPO, they see 3 years of clean corporate governance instead of a rushed conversion that happened 6 months ago. But even perfect corporate structure won't get you to market without the right professional team backing your deal. You can't take a company public by yourself. Each professional on your IPO team handles specific tasks that require years of training and legal certification. Try to skip any of these roles and you'll face serious problems that can kill your IPO or land you in legal trouble. Your underwriter becomes your most important partner in the entire process. Investment banks like RBC Capital Markets, TD Securities, or Canaccord Genuity buy your shares from the company and then sell them to institutional and retail investors. They don't work for free. The underwriter takes a commission that ranges from 4% to 7% of the total money raised. If you raise $10 million, expect to pay $400,000 to $700,000 in underwriting fees. The underwriter also determines your share price and decides how many shares to issue. They analyze your financial statements and compare your company to similar businesses that trade publicly. Market conditions on the day of your IPO affect the final pricing. If markets drop right before your launch, your underwriter might delay the IPO or price your shares lower than expected. Major investment banks only take on companies they believe will succeed. Although there are no specific revenue requirements a company needs to show, before it can go public, RBC Capital Markets wants to see at least $5 million in annual revenue before they'll consider your deal. Smaller investment dealers work with companies raising $2 million to $10 million. These boutique firms charge similar fees but offer more personal attention during the process. Your securities lawyer keeps you out of jail by making sure every document meets regulatory requirements. Securities laws in Canada carry criminal penalties for executives who make false statements in their prospectus. Your lawyer reviews every page of your filing documents and advises on disclosure requirements. They also coordinate with provincial securities commissions during the review process. The legal fees for an IPO represent substantial professional expenses that vary based on deal complexity and size. Your lawyer needs to understand both corporate law and securities regulations. General business lawyers don't have the specialized knowledge required for public offerings. You need a securities specialist who has completed multiple initial public offering transactions. Your auditor reviews the required financial records and confirms that everything follows accepted accounting principles. Again, under the 2025 regulatory changes, eligible issuers need only 2 years of audited financial statements instead of 3. They issue an audit opinion that gets included in your prospectus. Investors rely on this opinion to make decisions about buying your shares. If your auditor finds problems with your financial records, they can refuse to sign off on your statements. Audit procedures represent expensive but essential costs that depend on the size and complexity of your business. Your auditor also needs to test your internal controls and review management estimates for things like bad debt reserves. The transfer agent manages your share certificates and keeps track of ownership records. When someone buys your stock, the transfer agent updates the records to show the new owner. They also handle dividend payments and manage shareholder communications. Transfer agents charge annual fees based on the number of shareholders and transactions. Companies in mining, oil, or other resource industries need technical experts to verify their resource claims. Independent engineers review your drilling results and estimate how much oil or minerals you can extract. These technical reports become part of your prospectus and help investors understand your assets. They represent significant additional costs depending on the complexity of your operations. The total cost for your IPO team represents a major financial commitment before you count marketing and other expenses. Your core team includes an underwriter, securities lawyer, auditor, and transfer agent. Each professional carries legal liability for the accuracy of your prospectus. If investors lose money because of false information in your filing documents, they can sue your entire team for damages. This team becomes your safety net during the IPO process. When securities regulators ask tough questions about your business, your lawyer knows how to respond. When investors want detailed financial information, your auditor can explain the numbers. The shared legal responsibility means everyone works hard to get the details right, but having the right team only matters if you've built the foundation they need to work with. The April 2025 regulatory changes opened a door, but only for companies that complete the preparation work correctly. You need proper corporate structure, clean financial records, and professional audit standards from day one. The streamlined process helps prepared companies move faster, but unprepared businesses still face the same old problems. If you are thinking of taking your company public, do thorough research and start building your corporate structure and financial records properly if you haven't been doing so already. The CSA made the timeline shorter, not the requirements easier. Disciplined preparation through clean financial records and robust corporate structure remains the only way to leverage the cost and speed benefits introduced by the 2025 blanket orders. Smart founders understand this difference and plan accordingly. If you are an investor and enjoyed this content, you need to watch how mortgage investment corporations can earn you money while you sleep.